You are watching On Demand. Please do not try to vote or enter any competition or other interactivity in this programme, as it may not count and you may still be charged.
Friday Loose Women, and there's no better way to end the week than with me, Kay Adams, Judy Love, Nadia Sawala, and Jay Burman. Coming up today, we ask, when is flirting inappropriate? This comes after a track and trace worker reportedly asked a woman out via a text message after he went to check on her to see if she was self-isolating, but did he cross the line? Also, apparently 18-month-olds should be helping around the house. That's according to a parenting expert, and it's certainly something Mylene Klass agrees with, as demonstrated by her adorable little boy Apollo there. But is it too much to get a toddler to help with the chores? I wish, I tell you. But first, sticking with kids, 8-year-old Prince George has been parodied in a new cartoon along with the rest of the royal family. Should we be making fun of someone so young? Here's a little clip.
Owen, let's go over my day tomorrow.
You have school?
I don't know why I'm auditioning with you guys. I doubt anyone else here is even a tenor.
We're all tenors. We're 7. A play date.
Glad you could make it.
And snack.
Oi, tea! Thank you.
Okay, that kid freaks me out.
Well, there we go. Some people are calling it cruel. Nadia, you look very unimpressed by
Well,
it.
it just wasn't very funny. I mean, it wasn't very funny. I mean, if that was my child, I would be so angry. I would hate that.
Would you?
Yeah, I mean, he's 8 years old, and you're taking the mickey out of him, and he's yeah, it's not fair. I think it's just.
I actually don't have a problem with it. I mean, I'm not saying that I was rolling in the aisles there, but,
It wasn't funny at all.
the creator of it, Gary Janetti, and actually he's had a social media account, about Prince George for a long time. He says, I hope that people would have a sense of humour and obviously would see that everything is meant with affection. I mean...
But it wasn't funny.
Well,
I mean,
but
the thing is...
But whether
we
it's
don't
funny or not, is it fair game, I guess, is the question.
I would just choose not to watch it, because I don't want to... I think at the moment the world feels so crazy. We seem so controlled by everything we laugh at, everything we do. I think comedy is going to be the way out of where we're stuck at the moment.
Yeah.
So to censor comedy, I think is always wrong. And
Right.
if you're offended, just don't watch it.
Always wrong?
Oh, wow. Well, I suppose not. You can go to extremes, but I just think, when I think of some of the things that were very funny. Do you remember Four Lions, the film? I can't imagine that being made now. It's brilliantly funny. Yeah, I
What
think
do you
it's our
think,
way
Jane?
out.
Is there a line?
I mean, on the Prince George thing, I think if you're an adult, you're fair game, especially if you're in the public eye, and parody is funny. I have a slight issue with that because they've literally copied his school uniform down to the absolute T. And so I think it's a little bit too close to the knuckle really for an 8-year-old boy. I think they could have fudged it a bit and made it a bit vaguer.
I suppose, they could turn it around and all sit round with the popcorn and watch it and just say, isn't this ludicrous? I mean, it's
But when
clearly
you get to the
hyper-reality.
playground,
Just laugh at it.
it's just it could be weaponised by kids at school who want to bully him anyway.
But that's exactly what you're saying. And Judy, you must be in the eye of the fire with this one, because when you're doing comedy now, you must have to think through, well, actually, oh God, no, what, maybe not. And I don't know how you get up on a stage and do anything.
I mean, you do, but with regards to, the Prince George, personally, I don't agree with it. I think adults find it difficult enough when they're the subject of the joke, much as a child who hasn't really entered that world of comedy.
Yeah, he's not in on the joke.
He's not in on the joke, and then trying to have him to explain it. But yes, as a comedian, I suppose there is stuff that you censor. Comedy's had a long way of being an area where you can address subjects, but it's also been an area where subjects should have been off limit. Back in the days, there were jokes that was very racist, very homophobic, and very sexist, and that has now trying to be filtered out. I do feel myself that at times, you go onto stage and you do think about how it might affect someone or what someone might think. Me personally, I always talk about stuff that is a personal experience. If you find it offensive, then so be it. However, that's my lived
But you get people who
experience.
do find it offensive.
Yeah, you do. Like, I've done accents, my own accent, West Indian, Jamaican accent, and people are like, oh, you're creating a stereotype. I'm like, well, if that's how my family talk, that's what I'm going to do. Like, I don't think, do you understand what I'm saying? And
But
if I
it
do
does
talk,
take some bravery
it does
to do
take
that.
bravery. And when I do talk
Yeah.
about racism in my set or anything that's quite challenging, sexism, you know, I'm talking from my own experience. And I think that yes, anybody, whether you're doing stand-up, you're writing songs, you know, presenting, you do have that sense of responsibility about what you put out there and
Yeah.
how it might affect
But
people.
don't you think there are also some people that are just sitting there, they're literally just waiting to leap on something? And I love Ricky Gervais's attitude because he just says, if you don't like what I'm saying, don't follow me.
Don't watch.
Don't watch me.
You've seen me over the last few weeks doing my Love Island impressions of Chloe. Chloe, who I love. Love Island, that I love. And there's not a bad bone in my body when I do that impression. I've always done impressions since I was a kid. And I put one on my feed the other day. Of course, it then changed 2 days later to, oh, Nadia's making everybody laugh. But for like a whole day, there was all these really horrible remarks. So is she bitching? Is she doing this? Is she doing... No.
If a man did it, it would be funny.
She's not. But I think so often in the world at the moment, we're looking for what's the nasty angle here.
Well, it's that old phrase, isn't it? Is offence taken or is offence
Yeah,
given?
we've
And
got
a lot of
to start
instances now, offence has been taken without actually establishing whether it was meant to hurt. But it is a different line for everyone. Now, a test and trace worker has hit the headlines today after he reportedly sent a woman a flirty text message after he went to her house to check that she was self-isolating. What are you doing there? Do you want to hear the text?
Yes, girl.
Okay, here's the text. Hi. Do I have your permission to save your number at all? Please ignore this if you don't want that or have a husband or whatever. Lol. Apologies, I asked. Jane, is that crossing the line?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, he's using state data. That is state data. And she is in her own home. And he is, he's absolutely crossed the line. It's not like being on Tinder where she's willfully put herself on Tinder and said, hey, I'm looking for a date with somebody. That's personal choice. He's used state data that's in the system for a completely different reason.
Okay,
And
right,
I
here's a
think
different
that's very
example.
unsettling.
Let me give you a different example. This happened within my group. A guy from a food delivery company, I'll have to say, arrived at the door with food for a bunch of 14, 15-year-old girls. One of the girls opened the door and he went, "You're beautiful. Can I have your number? Or can I keep your number?" Now that's...
Hello, head office. I'd like to get this man sacked, please.
So that's totally out of
There's
line?
no grey area with Jane.
No?
14 years old.
But he didn't know that.
That's
Oh,
true.
you must
But I think
Come on.
what goes wrong here, like actually when you look at that text, thinking back to what we were just saying earlier, that seems like a fairly, he's saying, I'm sorry, is it okay? I agree with Jane, he shouldn't have done that. But I think what happens too often is that a lot of men assume that any attention is always a compliment. And I understand that because they haven't lived the way that we've lived as women. And that actually often they don't understand that it can be incredibly intimidating, especially if it's your own home.
Exactly.
So I think
That's the line.
I think we have to work harder.
If you're in a bar
to
and
make
somebody
men
goes up and says,
understand that.
You know, I like you, can I give you my number? Completely different thing. But when they know where you live...
So it's the
That's
home
what
thing
it
that's the
is.
line.
It is. I think it is a home thing. Let's keep it real, girls. You know, if you was at a workplace and you had an email, you saw a nice person in the other department, you'd email them something so you could have a little communication. But you don't know where they live. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the fact that they know where you live, you feel a little bit more vulnerable. I had a situation years ago. The cabbie picked me up because it was late. They needed my number so they could phone to say, you know, I'm outside. I took the cab and then... by the time they dropped me off, they'd text saying, "Oh, you know, nice conversation. Would love to get to know you."
I
And I was like
that.
I was a little bit creeped out in the sense of like, oh my gosh, you've picked me up from
But what if
my
you had
house.
fancied him?
If
What
I'd
if you had
fancied
fancied
him, you know what? Let's be real. If you'd fancied him, you might have been in one of those situations 10 years later saying, "Go on, babes, tell them how we met." Do you know what I mean? Remember
Exactly.
you picked me up and asked for a number. But still, I think in any situation, whether you're man, woman, or they, I think you need to think about how you're making someone else feel at that that
But
point
are we being
and
too
knowing their address.
suspicious of men?
No,
Are we saying that every man is potentially?
No, I think
Yeah,
if it
I
was a
do.
female delivery driver coming to the door
Yeah.
and...
But we know that
I
that's
think
not
it's
what
I
we
do
discuss,
think
is
of
it?
every man as a potential danger.
Really?
Not
Do you?
every man is, of course, but to stay safe, growing up in London, that's the
So
way
would
I
you
think
teach
about
your
it.
girls that every man is a potential danger?
Absolutely, that you have to be aware that somebody could be one thing and be another. And I think, so all this, I've said this before, all this after the tragedy of Sarah Everard and the Reclaim the Streets, I never felt we had the streets. I am constantly thinking about every single thing I do. What time will it be? Will it be dark? Who's out at the door? Shall I call out? I'm doing it the whole time. I'm constantly running a checklist to stay safe. And that's what I learned from a young girl walking on the streets.
It's a shame because
And that's what I teach my
I
children.
hear what you're saying, but I do try to. I think as well that it can be women or men or they. I just think
Oh, of
that
course.
you need to learn and
Crossing
have
a
that century
professional
of because we know there's in some situations some crimes that have been done by women as well.
So do you teach your children to be suspicious of everyone, every stranger?
Cautious.
I teach my children the reality of what is going on in the world, which they can see. They can see down the road, down the next ends. They can see on the TV. We see what's happening on the news every day
See, I
in that
say to
area.
my
So it's
kids
about being
that most
aware.
people are good.
Well,
Well-
girl, you listen. Send your kids to my house for a little while because I let them know how it is. I don't want them to be bogged down with everything that's going on, but I need them to be aware. I need them to understand how they feel in a situation, and that's one of the things. Sometimes we're not speaking to kids about how did someone make you feel. Sometimes that is enough for you to know
Yeah, trust your
trust.
instincts.
This is not a good situation, or something doesn't feel comfortable. Because if we don't teach them that, they will never be able to come to us and say, "Mum, something didn't feel right about
And
that
I
person,"
think
or
it's
"Don't leave
brilliant.
with
I
them."
think it's brilliant. I say it to my kids all the time. There are more good people than bad, but you don't know which ones are. So you have to be cautious. Cautious.
It's a cynical old world.
Oh,
but
it's
maybe it has to
horrible.
be. Maybe
It's
it has to be.
horrible.
Still to come, how young is too young when it comes to getting your kids to help around the house. Mylene Class has posted this really cute video of her son Apollo emptying the dishwasher at just 20 months of age. If you're watching Mylene, it was me who spotted it, and I did think it was adorable. And I wish my girls could play the piano like yours can. Anyway, Nadia thinks she's found the perfect way to get her children to help out. Find what that is right after this.
Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living, barely getting by.
Good to see you again. Do you believe that your house has got an energy? We're going to find out Judy's routine that she uses to cleanse her homes. It doesn't involve a mop, does it?
No.
No, okay. All right. Do you want to be cleansing cash? You'll need it to enter this week's competition. Craig Doyle has been up in beautiful Edinburgh. Have you been to beautiful Edinburgh, Judy?
Aha!
You have.
Go back there soon.
Here's all the details.
Hello all, and you're very welcome to Scotland's capital, Edinburgh. Before we do anything, just check out those views. Sensational.
And what else is sensational is this week's competition. We're offering you the chance to win an enormous £90,000 in totally tax-free cash.
Now that is going to perk up your summer, isn't it?
There is a guaranteed winner for every prize here at ITV, and someone will win all that money.
So the big question is, what would you do with all that money? Would you save it? Boring. Would you go on holidays? Would you come up to Edinburgh? Would you send me a replacement shirt? Because this one is a bit dodgy, I realise that. Whatever you do, you got to get involved. And this is how you do that.
For your chance to win, go to the website. Entries cost £2. Text cash to 81119. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. Call 09068 781119. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to DY30, PO Box 7558, Derby, DE10NQ. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close on Friday, the 27th of August at 3 p.m. The best of luck.
Now, according to a parenting expert, children as young as 18 months old should be doing the chores and helping around the house. And someone else who agrees with this is Mylene Class. She posted this video on social media there and showing her 20-month-old son, Apollo, emptying the dishwasher. He is super cute, isn't he?
Don't worry.
When did you
Do you
get...
know what? I've got old. I can't take my eyes off that parquet flooring.
What's a beautiful child and you're looking at the floor?
The child is beautiful, but
the
wow,
flooring.
everything about this is just beautiful. And isn't that the wonderful thing with toddlers? They just want to do what makes you happy. They want to do what you're doing. When you get to teens, it's a whole different
How
story.
does he know where to put them? That's the bit where I'm just absolutely obsessed
Because
with.
he wants to do
I know,
what
he's
Mum
on a
does.
mission, isn't he?
Yeah, he's so sweet.
But
Yeah.
maybe if you start them at that age, maybe they just see it as a routine and they always do it. I mean, did you consciously start your kids on a sort of routine of doing chores? I knew that was a stupid question. I knew it was a stupid question.
She's not even in a routine of doing chores. How did you keep a straight face when you asked that question? Come on.
Okay. Judy, can I ask you that question?
Yeah, as soon as they came out the womb, they were washing up the window. You know what? I think I've always kind of instructed the children around,
Instructed, I like that word.
Fold your bed, tidy up the room. We're all folding, we're all tidying now. So my daughter is fantastic with that. And my son, I think with my son, he's around so many amazing and beautiful women that he's the King Don Donner, isn't he? He's got his
Is he resting off a bit?
Yeah, he's got his aunties, he's got his sister, he's got his mama, he's got grandma. So I'm now very much conscious of saying to him, son, you need to go and do this, and you need to go and do that, and making him pull as much weight as my daughter, so that he knows it's not like, oh, the girls do that. So
at the moment, does he not pull his weight as much as your daughter?
well, it's not that he doesn't, but I felt like, I remember one time I called him and I was like, you're right, what are you doing? Because I was away. And he was like, yeah, I'm just playing on my game, waiting for, my sister to make my food. And I was like, What do you mean? Go downstairs and help her make your food. So I just made me think about, him being around so many amazing women who pander to him.
Yeah,
I don't want him to grow up. Yeah, I don't want him growing up feeling like, oh yeah, a woman does this, a woman does that. So he knows that, and he shows it, because sometimes I come home and he's like, Mom, he'll rub my face. Mom, I'm going to make you a tea. You know what I mean? Or you'll see him wiping up. So I'm definitely onto him. I want him to,
It's funny because you've got a girl and a boy, you see it as a gender thing. Whereas I've got two girls. One is pretty tidy and does a lot of the cooking, which is fantastic. The other one takes after her Auntie Nadia. Can I just put it that way?
Should have been mine. Should have been mine.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's not a gender thing with them. It's just a personality.
Yeah,
Right.
personality.
But I was never made to do chores when I was a kid. At all.
Neither
I have
was I.
no recollection of that, and I haven't. To be honest, I haven't done it with my kids either. Their room can be a mess. I just close the door on it. I don't care. What I don't like is my rule in the house is if you've made the mess, you clear it up.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I don't expect them to clear up my mess.
Oh, I want
I've
them to
got a
clear my mess, because I'm like, I'm paying for this house. Telling you to do something.
Good point.
Have I got time to tell my great tip or not?
Yeah, go on.
So I got this from Sinetra. So basically, I had a sit-down chat with the girls the other day, and I said, I made a terrible mistake because I've done all the cooking and clearing up and everything because when you were small. But now, because you're practically grown up, we're sharing a house. This is a house share.
Nice.
So instead of, because I think
Write
where
it
we
down.
can go wrong as parents is we just go, can you do the kitchen? Can you empty the dishwasher? And then it might be in the middle of something. So I did this big chat with them. How would you feel if I put on the family WhatsApp group, chores for everyone, you do them in the next 24 hours at whatever point? And they were like, yeah, that's great. And do you know what? It really, really works.
Yeah.
There's no arguments. There's no nothing.
I'll tell you what, I'll
Come back to you in a month on that one.
I'll tell you what, I did find a lot
Wow.
of people who I know or have worked with who were forced to routine to tidy as they've got older, they're really messy. And the ones who didn't tidy as much when they were younger,
I think that's
when
me.
they're older,
I think that's
they're
what
quite.
Yeah, because you had to do it when you were young, and now, as we know,
Lost
we
cause.
did do a
She
poll
can
result.
cook now, she can cook now. I'll
She
take the
can
food in a
cook.
minute, honestly.
Should you get a toddler to do the chores? We did a poll on this, and 53% of you said yes, you should, and 47% said no. So clearly, absolutely split. Now, have you ever felt like the vibe or the atmosphere in your home is a bit off kilter? If you've ever sensed a spooky presence, you might want to hire a house healer, and I can offer you Judy Love, because she is really, really good at it, apparently. Is this true?
Do you know what? Every house I've moved into, like, I always get, you know, someone in the family or, you know, a pastor or someone spiritual to come and pray out. It's the same like every child I've had, you know, when I've had my babies. I know, I've got a number of them that I haven't declared to the world. Yeah. But I find that before they come home, you know, my mum, when she was like, she'd, you know, pray over the house and cleanse it out. And it's just a natural thing. I couldn't imagine living somewhere new.
Is it a cultural thing?
It's not. I think some of it is cultural, but I feel like, you know, especially depending on what background, with Christian, Pentecostal, I just feel like for me, I think there's someone else who's lived there. Everybody has an energy, has a vibe. You don't know what they've been through in the last how many years they were there, and that energy is there. So it's the same when you walk in a room and you feel something, or you meet someone and you feel something you're not too sure about them, or you're sure about them. It's the same thing about the home. And listen, this is somewhere you're going to be having your family. You're going to be experiencing new life challenges, you know, and you want it to start off harmonious. So for me, it's always a little bit of little water, little prayer, little blessing, little sage.
Sage.
Yeah, a little bit of sage, and just, you know,
I mean,
pray
you do
for
get
good
a
health.
feeling, don't you? When
You
you're
do
looking,
get-
when you're looking to move house, you get a feeling, you know, might be the most beautiful house on paper. I sound like Love Island. Walk in and you go, no, it's not
Yeah.
right. And then another one, you walk in and you go, yeah, I can see myself here, see myself sitting there, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I get the energy thing, but I wouldn't particularly do
I
the
had
whole
that
cleansing
actually with the
thing.
first house that I bought when I was 24. And, you know, you get it through the estate agent, and I saw the little picture, and I thought that is the ugliest little house I've ever seen, which is a bit cruel, actually. And I wasn't even going to go and see it, but I went to see it, and I got in, and I thought, absolutely, I loved it. It just had that warm kind of feeling, and
That's what
I wasn't even going to go and see it, and
Yeah.
it's so difficult to.
And what about when you leave? Because when I do invest in my house, but when I leave, I'm just like, see ya.
Really?
Yeah.
I find I go into the rooms and remember the memories that were created. Yeah.
Well, I had both my babies. I had home births with both of them in that house. People always say that to me. How are you going to leave? You had your babies in there, and I just thought, I just will.
That's
Really?
Yeah.
You're not going to take a bit of the carpet
Well,
or
we take
something?
the kids with me.
Oh, you take the kids with you.
This is why, but with the
What about
energy
Mark?
thing, this
Because
is why you've got to be
he's
careful who you bring into your home, because people's energies as well. So you just
Okay.
keep it nice. You're not welcome.
Judy just left us with a little bit of a warning there. That's it for today. And this week, we're shorter than usual because of the racing, of course. But on next week's Luke's Women, we'll be joined by Alexandra Burke, Shirley Ballas, and Michelle Heaton. We'll see you on Monday at 12:30. Have a fabulous weekend.